My fiancé demanded. You have to repropose because my friends didn't like the first one. I said, okay. Then I reproposed the idea that we should see other people, and the sound of her friends filming turned into the sound of her sobbing. My name's Alex. I'm 33, software engineer, and until about 6 months ago, I was engaged to Mia, 29, a lifestyle content creator. We met through mutual friends 3 years ago. She was funny, confident, always the center of every room. I was quiet, introverted, probably not her type, but somehow it worked. Or at least, I thought it did. I proposed to her last December. It wasn't over the top, just us, a private dinner at the small restaurant where we'd had our first date. No photographer, no hidden crowd, no stage fireworks. Just a ring, a question, and tears that, at the time, I thought were happy ones. For a few weeks, everything was great. She'd tell people the story, show off the ring, and post a few photos captioned, "Forever starts now ring." But as her follower count grew, the tone changed. Suddenly, she started talking about the proposal itself like it was a disappointment. Offhand comments like, "Ugh, I wish it had been filmed. All my friends got theirs at fancy spots. You didn't even have someone take pictures." I laughed it off at first. I'm not the type to compete with Instagram. But every week, she brought it up again, always framed as a joke, but always cutting. One night, about 2 months after I proposed, we were at dinner with her friends, all influencers or personal brand people, and they roasted me for it. How did he propose? One of them asked, already smirking. Me aside, like she was embarrassed to retell it. It was sweet, I guess. Just, not very social media worthy. They all laughed. I smiled politely, but I felt something twist in my gut. On the drive home, she said, "Don't look so upset. They're just teasing." But honestly, Alex, you could have done something a little more special. You know how much that moment means to a girl. I thought it meant more because it was personal, I said. She rolled her eyes. It's 2025, babe. You can be romantic and aesthetic. A few days later, she texted me while I was at work. We need to talk about the proposal. I came home that night to find her scrolling Pinterest. On the screen were pictures of candlelit rooftops, rose petals, professional photographers. "I want you to repropose," she said. "Excuse me. Repropose. Do it right." My friends didn't like the first one. It wasn't memorable. I just stared at her. "You're serious?" "Yes. Look, I love you, but I need the story to feel special. This is once in a lifetime. We can do it right this time. Maybe at the botanical gardens? I can have someone film it discreetly." That's when I felt something shift inside me, like a door closing. I didn't yell, didn't argue, didn't even sigh. I just said, "Okay." Her face lit up. "Really? You'll do it?" "Sure," I said. "Let's make it memorable." She squealed, hugged me, started talking about dresses and angles and natural light. And the whole time, I just nodded, because I already knew exactly what I was going to do. 2 weeks later, she invited her friends over for a casual night in. She said it was low-key, but I knew her well enough to realize it was planned. Sure enough, there were 3 phones out, a Bluetooth speaker, and someone whispering, "He's totally gonna do it again." I walked in, holding a small ring box. She gasped, delighted. The cameras were rolling. I got down on one knee. But instead of a ring, I opened the box. Inside was a small note. I read it aloud. "Mia, you said you wanted me to repropose. So here's my new proposal, that we see other people. Because you don't want a partner, you want an audience." At first, they thought it was a joke. Her friends giggled awkwardly. Then I stood up, pocketed the box, and headed for the door. "Wait, are you serious?" she shouted. "Completely," I said. "I don't want to be part of your content anymore." And I left. The next day, she flooded my phone with messages, crying, apologizing, insisting she didn't mean it like that. She said she was just trying to make things perfect, that everyone's proposal has to be shareable these days. But I was done. When someone turns the most private moment of your love into a marketing opportunity, there's no going back. 2 days later, her friend, the one who filmed the whole thing, sent me a clip. Apparently, Mia had tried to spin it online as a misunderstanding. But the video showed everything: the setup, the crowd, her face when I said the words. She was crying, and not the cinematic kind. The comments were brutal. Half her followers left. People called her entitled, manipulative, fake. I didn't comment, didn't gloat, just blocked, deleted, and moved on. After I walked out that night, I didn't hear from Mia for a full 3 days. No texts, no calls, no surprise visits, just silence. Which, for her, was louder than anything she could have said. Then the messages started coming, not from her, but from everyone else. A coworker sent me a link, a Reddit thread, a TikTok repost. Someone had uploaded the full clip of the reproposal, the entire scene, unedited. I didn't post it. I never would. But one of her friends, probably trying to defend her, had shared the video first. Then it got picked up by a cringe compilations account. And from there, it spread like wildfire. At first, the comments were mocking. People joked about the influencer who wanted a proposal redo. But then someone noticed my line. You don't want a partner, you want an audience. It hit a nerve. People started stitching the clip with commentary about performative relationships, Instagram love, and modern validation addiction. It became a whole conversation online. Hashtags like hashtag reproposal and hashtag mylineclosed started trending. Thousands of strangers were suddenly using my breakup as a cautionary tale. Mia tried to control the narrative. She posted a video 2 days later, teary-eyed, carefully lit, saying, "There's a lot being said about me right now. I just wanted to clear the air. I never meant to hurt anyone. I only asked him to redo the proposal because I wanted it to be special." But people weren't buying it. The comments were brutal, even from her own followers. You wanted content, not commitment. He dodged a bullet. Imagine valuing likes over love. Within a week, she went private, then deleted her Instagram altogether. Meanwhile, my phone didn't stop buzzing. Journalists reached out. Podcasters wanted interviews. Even one PR firm offered to help me build a personal brand around your story. I turned every single one down. Because that was the whole point. I didn't want to be content. I wanted to be forgotten. Then, about a month later, she called. Blocked number. I shouldn't have picked up, but I did. Her voice was wrecked. "Alex, please. You have to tell people the truth. They think I'm a monster." "What truth, Mia?" "That you humiliated me on purpose." "I didn't post that video." "But you didn't stop it." "It's not my job to save you from how people see the truth." There was a long pause. Then, quietly, "You really hate me, don't you?" "No," I said. "I just finally see you clearly." And I hung up. Over the next few months, I heard she moved back in with her parents, took a break from social media work, and started a small job at a marketing agency under her old name. No followers, no hashtags. I never reached out. Sometimes I still get tagged in memes about the reproposal guy. I don't engage. The world loves a spectacle. I'm not giving it more material. One night, maybe 6 months after it all, I got a handwritten letter in my mailbox. No return address. The handwriting was hers. "I've been in therapy. I know now that I cared more about perception than people. You were kind to me. Even when I made you a prop. You didn't deserve that. I'm sorry. Not because I lost followers. Because I lost someone who was real." I read it once, folded it, and put it in a drawer. Not as proof, but as closure. These days, I live quietly. I still don't have social media beyond LinkedIn. I started hiking again, built a small friend circle, and funny enough, started seeing someone, Clara, a friend of my sister's. She doesn't post much. Our photos stay on our phones. And when she says, "This moment's perfect," she actually means it. Not, "Hold on, let me film it." When people ask if I regret how it ended, I say no. Not because it wasn't painful, it was, but because it taught me what real intimacy looks like. No audience, no algorithm, no performance. Just two people, not trying to trend, just trying to understand. Update 1. That it's been almost a year since the reproposal video went viral. Long enough for the internet to move on, mostly. But every few months, it still pops back up in someone's feed as a meme about red flags or relationship expectations. I've learned to ignore it. Most people don't even know I'm that guy anymore. And honestly, that's how I like it. A few weeks ago, I got a call from an unfamiliar number. I almost didn't answer. I rarely do these days. But something made me pick up. "Hi, is this Alex?" "Speaking." "This is Morgan, from a PR and brand management firm in Los Angeles. I'm reaching out on behalf of one of our clients, Mia." I froze for a second. It had been nearly 10 months since I'd heard her name spoken out loud. Okay, she's working on a campaign, not influencer stuff, more of a self-awareness and recovery brand. And she wanted to know if you'd be open to providing a quote or statement about your experience. Something neutral. About growth, and moving forward. I actually laughed. Quietly. Not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable. So, let me get this straight, I said. She wants me to contribute to the rebranding of the woman who humiliated me for not being aesthetic enough? Morgan hesitated. I think she just wants closure. Publicly, I mean. She already got closure privately, I said. She sent me a letter. I accepted the apology. That's all there is. We understand completely, Morgan said. We just thought. Tell her I wish her well, I interrupted. But no quote. No statement. No performance. Silence. Then a soft sigh. Honestly, Morgan said quietly. I think that's the healthiest answer I've heard all week. We hung up. Later that night, I sat on my balcony, looking at the city lights. It was quiet. No buzzing phone. No unread DMs. No eyes watching for my next move. I realized I hadn't felt that kind of stillness in years. I thought about Mia, not with anger, just distance. Maybe she was trying to grow. Maybe she'd learned something. But whatever her version of healing was, it didn't have to involve me anymore. That's the thing about real closure. It's not a conversation. It's a boundary that doesn't need words. Maya, the woman I've been seeing, came outside with 2 mugs of tea. She set one down next to me, noticed my expression, and asked, "You okay?" "Yeah," I said, just finally realizing I don't owe anyone my story. She smiled. "Good. Keep it that way." And we sat there in comfortable silence, the kind that doesn't need to be posted, captioned, or liked. If there's one lesson I took from all of this, it's that some people confuse attention with affection. They think being seen is the same as being loved. But love doesn't perform. It just exists, quietly, consistently, without needing an audience. I used to think my silence was weakness. Now I know it's strength. Because when you stop explaining yourself, you stop being someone else's content. Final update that it's been 2 years since that night. The reproposal, the cameras, the fallout, the silence that followed. If I had to describe the last 2 years in one word, it would be steady. No viral moments. No spectacles. Just real life. The kind that doesn't need a caption to prove it exists. I'm still with Maya. We live in a small house outside of Seattle. She teaches art at a community center. I work remotely 3 days a week. Our life isn't glamorous. It's simple, ordinary, the best kind of peace. We argue sometimes about groceries, schedules, the usual, but we never weaponize each other's words. And that, after everything, still feels new. I don't check social media much anymore. The only feed I scroll through is our garden camera to see if the raccoons have been stealing tomatoes again. Last month, though, something strange happened. A coworker sent me a link with the subject line. This sound familiar? It was a YouTube interview, a podcast with a familiar face. Mia. She looked different, older, quieter, almost unrecognizable. The title read, "Losing Everything Online, How I Learned to Be Real Again." For a second, I debated closing it. Then curiosity won. In the clip, she talked about how she lost herself in performance, how validation became her addiction, and how she spent a year rebuilding her life offline. She mentioned someone who showed her what real intimacy looked like, without naming me. But I knew. Then she said something that stopped me cold. When I demanded that second proposal, I thought I was fixing the story. I didn't realize I was ending it. She smiled, sadly. If he ever sees this, I hope he knows I finally understand. I paused the video there. Didn't watch the rest. Didn't need to. I closed the laptop, made coffee, and sat on the porch while the morning light came in through the fog. And it hit me that I didn't feel anything anymore. Not anger, not satisfaction. Just distance. The kind that means you're finally free. Later that day, Maya came out with her sketchbook and asked what I was thinking about. I told her the truth. Someone from my past finally said what I needed to hear years ago. But I didn't realize until today that I'd already heard it, in my own silence. She smiled, squeezed my hand, and said, "Then maybe that's what closure actually sounds like." And maybe she's right. Closure doesn't always come in grand gestures. Sometimes it's just the quiet that follows when you stop replaying the same story. It's strange, that one viral moment used to define me to millions of strangers. Now it's just something that happened once, in a version of my life that no longer fits. I'm not the guy who walked out. I'm not a meme. I'm just a person who learned that peace isn't what you find after the noise. It's what you build when you stop trying to be heard. If you're still waiting for your version of closure, I'll tell you this. You won't find it in an apology, or a confession, or an explanation. You'll find it the day you stop needing any of those things to move forward. That's the day you'll finally breathe differently.